Dahr, can you tell us about your experience in Fallujah?
Briefly, when we talk about Fallujah, I think people need to remember that Fallujah really is an example of the lengths that the U.S. government was willing to go to quote-unquote pacify a civilian population. We have to remember that it was the Americans who started the violence in Fallujah, because during the invasion there wasn't any fighting in Fallujah until the Americans occupied a school there at the end of April 2003. And in response to that, Fallujahans held a demonstration, were fired upon, and 17 of them were killed. Hence the resistance was born in the city. And that really set the stage. You know, things built over time, and then by March 2004, the stage was set for the 4 Blackwater mercenaries that were killed and the horrible things done to their body, and then this used as a justification to go in and really attack the city. But really with those sieges, I think people need to understand that in the first siege, according to Fallujah doctors at Fallujah General Hospital, 736 people were killed, the vast majority of them civilians, meaning women, children, and elderly. I was in that siege, the middle part of that siege, for a couple of days in Fallujah at a makeshift clinic that was working on people, and that's exactly what I saw. Of all the probably 2-3 dozen people that were brought into that clinic, the vast majority of them were small children, women, and elderly men, and just a couple of men. And also I would like to add that we had many instances of, well, all instances, these people were brought in by civilian cars because doctors couldn't work in the hospital, because either when they were on foot, even when they were wearing their white clothes, or when they were in an ambulance, they were regularly fired on by the U.S. military. That's the first siege. The second siege, briefly, the city was basically leveled as a revenge for the first siege not being successful from the Americans' perspective. And Iraqi NGOs and doctors in the city estimate between 4,000 and 6,000 people were killed in the first siege. By the end of the second siege. And this is basically on the heels of military reports of between 1,200 and 2,000 fighters that were killed. And I think those numbers are too high, because their own numbers also they came out in the aftermath of that siege and claimed that there were a maximum 2,000 fighters in the city to begin with. So that preposterous claim that basically everyone that was killed by their admission was a fighter, of course contrasted with the Iraqi figures, which are double that number. So the point being, a massive number of civilians were killed in the second siege. And Fallujah really stands as a monument to the brutality that the U.S. military used in Iraq, but not just in Fallujah, and other instances as well. We can hold up Abu Ghraib and Haditha as other examples also. And so it's very critical that we remember Fallujah, and I'm very grateful for the project that you're pulling together to do this as we come up on another terrible anniversary. And also in the wake of the recent scientific report that shows that radiation levels and cancer rates in Fallujah are higher than they were in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in the aftermath of both those cities being nuked. And that gives you an idea of the type of weaponry that the U.S. used in Fallujah during both sieges, but particularly more so in the second siege. And when I went in there in the aftermath of the first siege, and then when I covered the second siege from the outskirts to the city, again, I mean, what I saw was massive instances of war crimes. And again, this was really the primary responsibility. We have to look at administration officials who set the stage to put the military in a position to carry out such actions, as well as then, of course, the price paid so severely by civilians in the city who were killed and wounded, and then also by people in the military who were killed and wounded in this horrible situation. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, and I just want to really encourage everybody there to really do what you can to help support this very, very important project. We need to remember this, and more people need to be made aware of what happened in Fallujah 6 years ago during both sieges, because as we go forward into the future, of course, we are in the United States of amnesia, and people tend to not remember what happened in Iraq during the invasion, or in Abu Ghraib, or in Fallujah, or any of these other times. And, you know, Fallujah to this day, it remains a disaster zone, and people there continue to suffer as a direct result of both of these sieges in 2004. And so I really can't commend highly enough what Ross and his friends are doing by pulling this together, as well as the power it has coming from soldiers themselves who participated in the occupation of Iraq and with Fallujah directly. So really I encourage everybody to support them financially, by getting word out about this event, getting as many people to come as possible so that they can hear this history and hear exactly what went on there themselves. Because unless we know this information, we are certainly doomed to repeat it as a people and as a country. So, and personally, Ross, thank you. Thank all of you guys that are actively involved in pulling this together for doing it. It is an act of redemption, and I hope that it feels that way for you. And it's deservedly so, because of what we all know, what happened in Fallujah. For you to be doing this is a really great healing act for you and for the Iraqi people who live in Fallujah. So thank you guys, and thanks everybody for listening and coming to this fundraiser. And again, I really strongly urge you to support them as best as you can.